I didn't expect to make an actual main channel video about Nintendo's antics, but they just keep making so much noise. I'm in disbelief even as I write the script for this video. As you know, if you've watched the podcast episode that we recently released, Nintendo is taking legal action against Palworld. Recently, I discovered they made a patent around the concept for, and I quote, aiming a capture item at a character placed on the field and releasing said device determined by player input, whether the capture is successful or not. The possibility of being able to put a patent on something so vague is pretty bizarre to me. Yes, you heard that right. They created a patent around a gameplay mechanic. That may not sound like a big deal, but hear me out. Let's say I make a game with a crafting mechanic and survival elements, like a hunger bar and stamina, all packaged together with a nice and nostalgic, blocky art style. Sorta sounds familiar, like a certain game that sold 300 million copies worldwide, with 140 monthly active users. I guarantee you Mojang doesn't care if you make a blocky game with survival elements. They already know their game has made millions of dollars, so why would they care if there's any form of competition? It's not possible for any indie to surpass Minecraft, and that's how Nintendo should take this. They shouldn't be mad at the community for doing this. They should be honored that they made games that are so beloved that people are willing to create ones that are directly inspired by their handiwork. By Nintendo's logic, any indie company that takes inspiration from the games they love and grew up with and appreciate and admire are considered threats to be sued into oblivion. I'm no lawyer, but whether they win or lose this case, the situation is not going to look good for them. And this is a risky move they're taking. It's even funnier when you look at their motto, which states that they want to put smiles on the faces of people around the world. The problems they've caused lately have gone beyond a simple preservation issue. They now are attacking indie games which don't affect any form of their market share. This just proves to me one simple fact. They are terrified of competition. The recent Pokemon games, while financially successful, have been called out for lacking the soul that the older games had. Bad publicity may not fully have an effect on sales, but keep in mind Nintendo takes a massive and somewhat illogical amount of pride in the games they make. I doubt they like to see any kind of criticism, especially in regards to how they've treated their classic Zelda fans. Yes, Nintendo, we're just blinded by nostalgia and these old games are terrible, and we should only care about the new ones even though they're empty and have less content. But back to Palworld. The game sold 15 million copies, and is one of the best-selling PC games. Nintendo saw these numbers and the fact that the games weren't exclusive to Switch, and jealously decided to attack them. A small indie company that was inspired by their work and loved it so much they wanted to make a more gritty and unique take on the monster-catching concept. But there is some silver lining here, believe it or not. If Palworld wins this battle, it could be a huge boon for the gaming community. Nintendo would be forced to give the company money in recompense for their actions. Couple that with bad press and I see a disaster on their hands in this circumstance. Here's my ideal scenario for the situation. Not saying it's realistic. Let's say Nintendo loses a lot of money, and I mean a lot. The bad press affects the fan base a bit, and sales start to dip. In a last-ditch effort, they announce the Switch 2. Fans are rabid with hope for a machine that performs better, but instead they get something that is still generations behind the competition. But the sales are seriously starting to take a dip further and further. They are close to tanking. Their IPs are unable to carry the weight of the problems they face, and they decide to make a drastic choice. They go third party just like their old rival company Sega. Their classic games go on Steam and every other console. This is what I hope happens. I'm no lawyer. I will probably end up being wrong, but I still hope this happens. I want game development to be left alone to flourish as an industry, and I want us gamers to enjoy a world where no game is exclusive or cut off from us. The future could be looking pretty bright, and gaming should be for everybody, including modders and retro game fans alike. Give us more opportunities to love your company just as much as we love your games. Because you've made some of the greatest titles in gaming, period. And we want to celebrate that. So please, Nintendo, change your policies.